Ignace corner, beyond Bent. Janssen! And Blackburn Rovers are 18 minutes away from a Premiership return.
As far as Stewart, just outside the penalty area, clips it central for David Dunn. David Dunn equalises! It just had to be. Dax corner and it goes. Glance towards goal, and Rovers have taken the lead. And Charlie Mulgrew has scored his 14th of the season. It may well be the goal that sends Rovers back into the Championship.
Good afternoon, Rovers fans, and welcome to Match Day. Welcome to our pre-match live stream as we preview the big game today, Blackburn Rovers versus Luton Town at Ewood Park in just under 2 hours' time. We are here for our usual pre-match live stream as we'll preview the game, focus on a couple of the players, and then run through all of our predicted teams as we usually do. So thank you to those of you that have joined us, and we can see you're very active in the comments already. Hello to 𝐂𝐻𝐃𝐂𝐓, hello Ollie James, hello Kevin Bradshaw, good to have you along. As you can see, we've got our usual four-man panel today, so joining me today, we have got Luke Kimberley. How are you doing, Luke?
Very well, cheers. I haven't got my Saturday socks on today, so I couldn't find them. I'm worrying that could really be some set off the Saturday on a bad foot. So no, I'm feeling good. Let's get within 3 points, as someone says in the comments. Let's be optimistic. Let's have a good one today.
Absolutely. Ollie, how are you doing, mate?
Good. I'm in a good mood. I feel good about today. I think we can back-to-back wins. And if Norwich do us a favour, slide up that table a little bit.
Absolutely. And Alex, how are you doing, mate?
I'm good, Ryan. I thought when you said that this is today's big game, I didn't think we'd compete with like Arsenal, Man United, but I suppose Blackburn, Luton trips off the tongue in a similar sort of way, doesn't it? So, we'll get probably thousands of viewers on this stream, I would have thought.
How dare you? We always compete with Arsenal, Man United. This is a big part of the day. So of course, absolutely. Hi to Andy Watson. Hello, Sean Hooper. Hello, Dizzy Thumbs. And hello, Michael Pearson. Good to have you along. Just a couple of the niceties before we start then. If you're not following us on Twitter and you are joining us for the first time today, we are rovers_chat on Twitter. Please give us a follow. Our YouTube channel is roverschat. Please hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all of our content and help us edge towards 1,000 followers, which we are nearly there. And just a little plug to a show that we do have coming up on Monday as well. We've got a big transfer deadline special, which is being hosted by Jonathan Secker from about 8:30 p.m. And we'll bring you all of the transfer deadline day news. Hopefully the signing of Harry Pickering. But yeah, mark your calendars for that one. Hello to Leap Year Man and to Brandon E. But before we make a start on today's show, of course, we are sponsored by 6yardsout.com.
The Rovers Chat YouTube channel is proudly sponsored by 6yardsout.com. They've got retro football from every era with mugs, phone cases and much more. They also have plenty of Rovers goods, including apparel with the famous 94-95 season and this season's kit. Check them out using the link in the description below.
Thank you, 6yardsout.com. I'm just chuckling at Autumn Penkridge's comment. Tad disappointed that Lewis's flatmate ain't on the panel. So for those of you that didn't tune into On the Other Side last night, we had Lewis, the Luton fan, with us. And his flatmate is a Rovers fan. And they've been driving each other potty, I think, for the whole of the season, especially in the game at Kenilworth Road as well. So Lewis was not a happy bunny at times on the show last night, but all in good jest. So maybe we will get him on at some point. So, okay, let's make a start then, guys. Luke, I'm going to come to you first. Just a little focus on Luton, and we're going to pick up some of the stuff that we did on the other side last night. So, firstly, we'll just bring up Luton's recent form, just for a bit of a comparison between Luton and the rest of the top 12 as well. So you can see that they're not doing too bad, really. You know, they're kind of comparable with Rovers, with Barnsley, Bristol City, Stoke. You know, they're on fairly okay form. So, what sort of game are you expecting from Luton today?
I think it'll be a difficult game. Luton seem to caused us problems whenever we've played. And I think they were that stat, weren't they, last night, that we're not beating them in 40 years or something, which is quite outrageous. Like us, they've been fairly inconsistent, but then it just shows to where we are in the table. At the moment we're both sort of sitting around mid-table, and based on form and based on inconsistencies, that's essentially where you need, deserve to be at that point. I think it is frustrating, and I know Mowbray and Joe Rothwell as well were out in the press saying that we should be beating teams like Luton, and you do look at it in that respect and think, we should be beating teams like Luton if we see ourselves as breaking into that top half and moving on from being what we've sort of established now as a mid-table side. So we do need to kick on, and we do need to beat teams like Luton, and they're coming away from home today. They've had difficulties coming away from home, and we need to take advantage of that, dominate the early part of the game, and just make our stamp on it, really. Hopefully get an early goal, and then we can dominate proceedings from there on in. What you don't want to do is play into Luton's hands, let the game be fairly ugly, let them rough us up a little bit, and as we've had problems, within the past, the longer we let this game go on, then the more difficult the game gets. It's just as simple as that.
Absolutely. And Alex, another thing that we brought up on the other side last night was just a little detailed focus on Luton's away form. So we've got a little table here that we can show. They have had struggles away from home this season, as you can see. So particularly goals scored and shots per game. They're the bottom of the table in terms of shots per game, and really struggling to score away from home as well. So do you think that with that, like what Luke just said there, if we do allow this game to rumble on and it's maybe 0-0 at half time, 0-0 after 70 minutes, that we could start to get really frustrated, particularly if the state of our pitch is stopping that play?
That's true. I think you look at our record, certainly over the last 10 to 11 games, and we've only really scored, I think it's 1 or 2 goals in first halves. So you're looking for that to change, aren't you? What I would say is that from our experiences this season, both going for us and against us, you only need 1 shot to win a game of football. We've had 25 shots, 30 shots and not one, and got beat from a side that's had 1 or 2 shots, and the reverse has happened to us as well. Like last week, we scored our first shot on target. So it swings and roundabouts. I think what I would say is that Luton are a similar kind of side to Middlesbrough, I would say, in the physicality, in the way they approach the game, at least. So hopefully the game on Sunday has given us a bit of pre-match preparation for today, a bit of awareness of what we need to do to win the game, compete, win your second balls, win your physical duels, and win the game. I think that's what I'll be looking for from us today, really. And it'd be nice, like we all said, to get a goal in the first half. Feels like it's if you're going to put any money on anything at the minute, it's a 0-0 at half time. So, yeah, get the first goal, impose ourselves on the game. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, and just to go into the comments just really quickly. So, Peter Wright, what's your opinions for our starting midfielders? We will show you what our preferred and predicted lineups are a little bit later on, so stick around for that one. I think we've had a season first today, actually, with our predicted 11, so you can see that. And then, Ollie, comment here from 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐓. Luton played an energetic pressing game against us last time. Are you guys expecting similar today? So if we bring up that table again about how Luton are away from home, I'm not sure that that's the type of game we're going to see from Luton today. They've got good passing accuracy, good possession, I think, away from home. But it seems to me that they're really struggling to turn that into good chances. So the feeling I'm getting from that table and from chatting to Lewis last night, I think Luton are probably going to come and just be patient, keep it tight. They have got a good defensive record, actually, better than Rovers. So what are you expecting?
Yeah, I think we've been surprised a little bit by, I think, these live streams. We've played games at home to sort of Millwall, Middlesbrough, Stoke, and kind of thought, oh, they're going to sit quite deep in a low block and keep it very tight and disrupt the game. And they really came on to us and pressed us quite a lot. my expectation is Luton will. I was expecting a low block and them to essentially probably use the pitch in their favour, knowing that it's not helping us. And I think most of the games we've played against them, last season and this season, they want the game to be very stop-start. They want it to be very disruptive. They want the ball in the air or out of play, and they don't want. The one thing they don't want is for us to be in our 4-3-3 rhythm and passing rhythms and patterns. That's what they don't want. So they might come out and press and hassle us a little bit, I think, but I don't expect them to be overly adventurous. Probably, perhaps less so than the game at home. But I agree with the other guys that, Mowbray himself has said he felt we should have been 10 to 12 points better off at the halfway point of the season. And yeah, you can make a reasonable case for it. But if, this will be the fourth time of playing Luton, and no disrespect to them, but, we lost both times last season and we rescued a draw this season. We cannot play Luton 4 times and not win, and have any designs on being in the top 6. You just can't. You have to be able to beat these teams, and these are the type of teams that Luton are coming probably not to win the game. They're coming to not lose the game, is probably how I think they're going to set out. And I think Nathan Jones is a very canny operator, and I think he knows how to stop us playing. And I think that's the main emphasis we'll disrupt and frustrate Blackburn, and we won't let them get into the patterns where they can be very free scoring, and that's what I'm expecting, really. And we just probably the reason I feel positive today is I think it's the one time this season we're going to face a team that is coming with that kind of mentality of not losing the game, where we've got a relatively settled back 5 with 𝐂𝐓𝐃𝐄𝐂 in goal, and we've virtually got Johnson's injured, but we've got a pretty much full strength midfield and attack to be picking from. And I don't think we've played a game such as this season with all of the options available to try and pick that lock. So I think that's what I'm kind of interested to see today, is if we fail to kind of open up teams with Rothwell, Dack, Elliott, Armstrong, Brereton, Travis in midfield, then I would be quite concerned if we still struggle to unlock these teams. That's going to be a worry, I think.
Yeah, well, just to close off this first section, just to go back into the comments. So Alexander Haben about 5 minutes ago, got to be clinical. Tim Young, we need an early goal because the pitch will only get worse as the game goes on. It will then start to suit Luton's more direct game. And I've just been sent the tweet from Rich Sharp as well, which has the state of the pitch on there. There we go. And Ollie's picked that up. The pitch, aka Blackpool Pleasure Beach. So yeah, if that game's going on and on and on, and we can't get that possession football going, then that could become a problem. Alexander Haben will miss the physicality of Johnson. And then Michael Pearson, looking at recent formations, Luton are rigid 4-1-4-1 away from home. They'll sit in like Sheffield Wednesday and Stoke. So, yeah, I think there's consensus there in the comments and on the panel today. I think Luton are going to come and try and frustrate us. That seems to have been their style of play this season, particularly away from home, particularly where they are struggling to get shots and good chances away from home as well. So I think that's the game that we're probably expecting. I was actually quite surprised by that, chatting to Lewis yesterday. I hadn't realised that there was such low scoring this season until I started researching them a bit, because I've always associated them with goals. So yeah, it might be frustrating at times. Would not surprise me if it's 0-0 at half time. We've just got to stay patient and hopefully find a way to win the game, which leads us nicely into the next section, which we've got, which is a bit of a player focus. So Luke, I'm going to start with you. Ben Brereton, lots of early season plaudits for Ben Brereton. And I asked Dan just to research our stats this season with and without Brereton. And you can see there that when we're playing with him, albeit more games played with him than without, the win percentage is down. The goals for per game slightly down, goals against slightly up. So this is showing a player who is really important to Rovers. And do you think that's a coincidence that we've seen this little recent blip in form in the games that Brereton didn't play?
I don't think it's a coincidence at all. I think he's now a very important player for Rovers, and particularly is important for the way Tony Mowbray wants to play football, and you can see that from the signing in itself. I mean, to go out and spend £8 million on a teenager is, it's a big risk, and he's stuck with it, and he knows ultimately what he wants to get out of Brereton, and he's starting to bear fruit now, I think. Initially, yes, the fans got on his back. There was a lot of grumblings with the price tag. I know the loan that built up to the permanent signing, wasn't a great spell. Didn't really set the world alight as an £8 million player. So there was immediate grumblings then when we did make the signing permanent, and you're sitting there thinking of players like Kevin Davis, 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐶, at times when we've spent a lot of money and the risk, didn't bear the reward, sort of thing. But now, yeah, he's looking every part a real talent, and he's looking to really repay Mowbray's faith and repay the price tag that's sort of hung over him and really caused him some trouble. I think it's been great that we haven't had fans there, because I think that's actually benefited Brereton. He looks to have filled out. He's got pace, he's got power, he runs with the ball, close ball control when he's running with the ball. And he was particularly important in that Luton game last time, so I can see him being important again today. We should have had a penalty, there's no doubt about it. It certainly wasn't a dive, that's for sure. So to book him was quite ludicrous, but that's Gavin Ward, and that's for another stream perhaps. But yeah, it's no coincidence at all. He's an important player, and I've actually been surprised that he hasn't been starting more games recently. I know he didn't start the last game, and perhaps we will see him today, because I think it's going to be important to get at Luton early, and he's certainly one player that can do that and can do it quite successfully.
Rovers fans, let us know in the comments, would you start Ben Brereton today, and do you see him as an important player today, particularly if Luton are going to come and try and frustrate us? Just picking up Brandon E's comment here, best way to deal with a team that comes to frustrate us is get an early goal, then their game plan goes out of the window straight away. So Alex, talking about those qualities there that Luke's highlighted with Brereton and which we've seen, is that what you're hoping, if we do start Brereton today, that he might do a bit of direct running, trying to get in behind them, trying to make things happen, and really try and go at Luton early on with his style of play?
Like you say, Ryan, that is his style of play. I don't think he can play in any other way. I think that is what he was signed to do. I think when you look back at his spell at Nottingham Forest, when he kind of came onto the scene and was touted to go to certain clubs, bigger clubs than Rovers, was that kind of player. It was playing in the front three of a 4-3-3 and those direct runs at defences that they absolutely hate. I think I can qualify what Luke said. I'm not sure whether the fans not being there has had an effect on him. What I think has had an effect is the change to the 4-3-3, which happened at exactly the same time as the lockdown, aka no fans being there. So it's kind of difficult to work out whether it was the formation change or there not being fans as to the reason why he's improved so much. I would tend to think it's possibly more to do with the formation change. However, I do accept that he certainly came in for a lot of criticism as a young player, and I remember standing on the top tier of the away stand at Griffin Park on that horrendous 5-2 afternoon and watching the warm-ups and there being ironic cheers when Brereton scored in the warm-ups, and I just kind of thought to myself that this is not conducive to supporting a young lad who's still trying to find his way in the game and trying to improve and under a lot of pressure with the price tag. So I'm really glad that he's now making a contribution to the team. He seems to make a good contribution every time he's on the pitch. Again, when you look at Saturday and you look at the changes that Mowbray made, was it the goal that changed the pattern of the game? Because goals do change games, or was it the 3 changes that he made? I really don't know. I can't really tell you what changed the pattern of that game in a more positive sense for us. But like you say, I hope that Brereton starts. I've got him in my team. and I hope that he makes a good contribution, because it's that kind of player that you need to perform against this sort of team, the sort of team that sits back, tries to contain us for the whole 90 minutes. We need players like Brereton to be direct and to be on form today.
Definitely. And excuse me, Ollie, when I spoke to Lewis yesterday, the Luton fan, he spoke about a potential area of weakness for them is if James Bree, if he is the right back who goes forward, and that might leave some space in that channel. Is that where you'd be looking for not just Brereton, but maybe Adam Armstrong, who likes to go down that channel as well? Is that an area of space that we might want to exploit today?
Yeah, definitely. I think space may be at a premium against a side like Luton. So if you to find those pockets of space, and I just agree with everything Luke and Alex have said, that I think it's been odd that Mowbray has tinkered with the formation's been largely the same, but tinkered with kind of who's in the front three and had Brereton on the bench, because you don't necessarily see it in kind of assists and goals as much as kind of pure hard stats, but I just don't think the system has ever been as effective when he isn't in the side. And I think you have to have him on that left-hand side. And it is quite an attacking fluid 4-3-3, but not having the ability for Lenihan to hit those diagonals as when needed, or Douglas is going to be clipping balls down into that channel, or even if it's gone through Travis and Rothwell in midfield, and that option to actually get the ball into that area of the pitch. Because I think what we saw against Middlesbrough and in previous games is the system doesn't work if the ball cannot stick in that final third or in those areas of the pitch. And I think that's had a detrimental impact on Armstrong's goal scoring, just because we're just not high up the pitch with the ball. And what Brereton does, and it's not that he's always assisting Armstrong, he just provides that outlet, and he occupies multiple defenders. His work off the ball, and actually if you get the ball in and around him, winning free kicks where we can then work the ball from a set play. I know we often do it short, but you've put ourselves in that final third of the pitch, and he's just an absolute must. And yeah, if Luton are going to be struggling in that part of the pitch, then if we see the lineup today and it's he's starting an Elliott, Armstrong kind of DAC, or a Rothwell front three, to me it just won't make sense. I think it needs to be Brereton. Even Gallagher would be enough, just someone in that channel to work that space and where you can kind of hit them with aerial diagonals. I think it'll be a very, very important part of our attacking play today.
I think you're right, Ollie, and I think that Middlesbrough game, it was really evident before the goal, wasn't it? How the ball just was not sticking in that final third. And I think that's what Brereton does bring. I absolutely agree with you. We've had quite a lot of love and comments for Brereton, so Dan, apologies as we run through all of these. Stephen Mason, about 5 minutes ago. Ben is maybe not a goal scorer at the minute, but he's a workhorse. That's picking up on what you said there, Ollie. Ben Brereton is the most effective winger we have, in my opinion. Elliott's future is centre midfield. Certainly you can see why you'd be saying that, Callum, about Elliott. Leap year man Brio has improved tenfold this season, but can't see where we fit him in currently. Who do we drop? You'll see our predicted sides shortly, leap year man. So we'll see if you agree with us. Michael Pearson, Brereton has been immense all over the pitch. Is he fast becoming our most important player? I think that's a really valid question, Michael. With all that stuff Ollie was just saying and what Alex and Luke have touched on as well, it's that off the field, off the ball stuff that's allowing the other players to thrive, which, you could make that case for him being a really important player for us. And those stats were interesting with him not in the side as well. Peter Wright, 100% needs to start. Many supporters said he was a waste of money, but he's grown to become a first-team player. And he's gained weight. It's really brought him on. Definitely you've seen that physical attribute increase as well with Brereton this season. Alexander Hayburn, yes, Brereton is a physical type player. We need all of those kind of players today for me. Absolutely. This is an interesting one from Callum Robinson, and we've spoken about this before. Brio always manages to scrounge us set pieces when we're struggling in games. We definitely picked that up before. It's the Jack Grealish effect, isn't it? Winning those free kicks in those important areas. I've definitely noticed that from Brio as well. Stephen Mason, his effort is ace. Tim Young, I'll do a quick just rattle around the panel for this one. What is Brereton's best position going forward? Is his future a main striker or a permanent winger? So just one word answer. Ollie, winger or striker for Brio?
Left-sided forward. He's not a winger.
Alex?
Left side.
I concur with Ollie on that one.
And Luke?
Well, before putting him in the club shop as some kind of marketing tool, because he's doing well at that, I'd say exactly what the boys are saying. He's a left side forward, and he does he's very effective from that position.
Yeah, I think I tend to agree. I think unless he develops his game a little bit more and can make that ball stick a little bit more, which actually, for the record, I think Adam Armstrong does pretty well for his size. That's a type of. I'd like to see Brio develop that a bit more before he is lumped as a striker. Then any other comments before we move on? No, we'll move on just given the time. Leap Year Man made a comment about 10 minutes ago just about possibly needing a plan B today with the state of the pitch. Dan, if you can find it about 10 minutes ago, bring it up. But the other thing we wanted to focus today on was Sam Gallagher. Luke, I think I know what the majority of fans will say about Gallagher and whether he should start. We have asked that question. But with all the stuff that we've said, the direct approach that we might need to have today, the physicality that we might need to have today, and some of Gallagher's stats that we've got here, aerial duels won, successful dribbles, which ain't bad, and actually his goals per 90 minutes, which isn't bad as well when you consider the likes of Armstrong in there as well. Can you make a case for Gallagher starting today? First question. If not, could he be an important player to win us the game if it is 0-0 in that second half?
There's a case for it, and I'm sure that Mowbray will be looking at that, and I'm 100% sure that he'll have weighed up the pitch and looked at it in both hands and thought, do we try and play football? Do we try and do what I want to do, or do we ultimately sacrifice what I've been working on to win a game of football? And it is a fine balance, because if we do manage to get the ball down and play, yes, it might be miraculous given the state of the pitch, but that aside, if we do manage to do that, then we can ultimately score a lot of goals and put the game to bed early. But realistically, when you look at that, the aerial duels 1 per 90 first, I don't think that's a coincidence that it's Gallagher. We don't speak about him particularly being great in the air as such, or being the physical presence that you lump a ball up to like a Danny Graham. But it shows exactly what we do use him for when we put him on the pitch, and you see that Mowbray sees him as a target, perhaps someone to play in the diag, to take them diag balls and bring it down and drive in a similar way to what Brereton does as well. Yes, perhaps there's a possibility today that Elliott could come more centrally. Someone said that earlier, and perhaps have Gallagher and Brereton on the wings, similar to what happened at Preston. He was very effective against Preston this season, and he seems to have a lot of joy against Luton anyway. As a footballer, he scored in the 3-2 defeat, and similarly scored to win us the point last time round at Kenilworth Road. So it's there's every opportunity for Sam Gallagher today, and I think if he does come off the bench, I see it as a game that he can be effective in. I just feel it's quite a shame for Gallagher. He's showing signs of the player that he was at Southampton, I guess. Never really broke into the first team, showed glimpses of being a real talent. Yes, he was young, but majorly inconsistent. It's a difficult one for me, Gallagher. He's never looked like an out-and-out goal scorer, centre forward. I don't know where his position is in an 11 as such. He has games when he is really effective, and you think, oh, this is it. This is a run of form for Sam Gallagher, and he just never perhaps doesn't get the run of games, but certainly doesn't have long periods of spells where you think, yeah, we've got a player on our hands. But it's a challenge. I do feel for Sam Gallagher, and I just wonder if today, if he does get the chance, then he can prove what he can do in a game like this.
Definitely. Rovers fans, keep letting us know what you think about Sam Gallagher, just with, what we've said about Luton and their style of play today and our pitch. Let us know if you've not already, if you would start Gallagher. Comments we've had in already, a bit of division actually. So Stephen Mason, no Gallagher, please. Whereas Alexander Haben, got to be a strong argument for Gallagher starting. Sam Rogerson, Gallagher not good enough. And then Michael Pearson, surprising stats. Gallagher seems more effective as an impact player, particularly from the bench. So, Alex, if we think back to the game at Kenilworth Road, 0-0 at half-time in that one, then Luton went 1-0 up. Gallagher came on in that game and made a really good impact, I thought, and, of course, got the equaliser for us as well. So, where would you be having Gallagher today? Would you be bringing him on as an impact player, or can you make a case for him starting?
I feel like with Gallagher, we're constantly going through the same cycle over and over again, and we're just at different points within it. Mowbray will bring him off the bench for 2 or 3 games in a row. He'll make a good impact in all of those games. We'll be clamouring for him to start. Then he'll start for 2 or 3 games and won't make an impression. And then he'll be back on the bench again. And it feels like we're just constantly in that cycle. I think purely for that reason, I would have Gallagher on the bench today. That's my personal opinion. I look at the formation that I think we should be playing, look at the players I think should be in the front 3, and I have to say that if you put Dak in the midfield, which is what seems to be happening at the minute, and then Travis in the midfield, Harvey Elliott has to really go in the front 3, and then as a result of that, can you really leave Brereton or Armstrong out? I don't think you can. I think it's just a case of deduction. In terms of there's just not enough spots in the starting 11 to fit him in there. I think what I would say on Gallagher is that if he wants to get in the 11, the onus is on him to perform and to be the main man. I've never really, with Gallagher, and it's a real shame that I have to say this, but and I don't say it in a demeaning or a nasty way at all, but for the price tag that he came here for and the wages that he will undoubtedly be paid, I've never really looked at him as the main man. I've never really looked at him as that is our talisman to get us into the top 6. And I think for a player that has got that much backing financially behind him, I think we probably should be. And I think that's what a lot of the debate was around Brereton when he first came was, a club like Rovers, we plead the poverty line, but then we spend a lot of money on 2 strikers. So, there's got to be some balance there. And I think when you do spend that money, you expect a return in either goals, assists, contribution to the game, contribution to the self play. And I think Gallagher will be the first to admit that he's not delivered that yet. Now, there's always time for him to do that. I hope it's today if he gets picked. I hope he scores a hat-trick today if he gets picked. But we've yet to see him really step up, in my opinion, and take on the leading role in this team. We can't forget that there's a lot of players that are a lot younger than him now. He's one of the middle-aged players, really, now. He's not one of the young ones anymore. So it's really on him now. It's not on Mowbray at all. Mowbray can only pick him based on his performances. And if he isn't consistent enough, he won't get picked. It's as simple as that.
Mm. And Ollie, I'll come into the comments after you've given your say on Gallagher, and then we'll move on. We've all agreed on the stream today, the way that Luton are going to play, possibly the need for a fast start today so that game isn't 0-0 at half-time and we leave ourselves exposed to that game rumbling on. Do you see Sam Gallagher as the man conducive with having a fast start in the game, or is Sam Gallagher someone we bring on if the game is 0-0 at half-time and we need to go and play a different way? So where are you seeing Gallagher in the team today?
Not a starter for me. I think I'd rarely put him in as an actual starter if everyone's fit. I think Mowbray needs to hopefully pick the system that's been tried and tested and been successful now that we've got the right players to be in the right positions. And I think there's been some really good comments that we have lacked a bit of a plan B, and I think there are, and so we've got good comments around from we might win set pieces, or we've got someone like Barry Douglas, who one of his best attributes is his dead ball delivery or his crossing ability. But I mean, when this season have we routinely been a team that crosses the ball in and someone heads it in the net? It's just not something we do. To me, a plan B is you bring on Gallagher. I think one thing that often does work quite well, but we do it quite late, is shift Armstrong to the left side, and he starts his speed and trickery. Often when we've really struggled to kind of get behind a low block I've often find actually pushing Armstrong slightly wide, he's the one that can kind of get himself round past the defender and drilling balls into the box. And to me, a plan B would be actually put Gallagher in centrally and utilise Barry Douglas, put balls into the box, and if it's either headers directly on goal or feeding off the scraps to do something else. And I think another thing we don't do enough of is, I think once the team is very settled and we're struggling to break them down, I think we're slightly guilty of overplaying it around the box when we can't find spaces. And we don't shoot enough, I think, late in these games. You've got players like Dak, Elliott, Rothwell, Armstrong. These are players that can shoot pretty well. And I don't think we test goalkeepers enough if they're sat 10 men behind the ball. If you get an opportunity to get a strike on goal, even if it's from 20 yards, you'll make something happen in the box. The keeper's got to save it. You win a corner, get Armstrong following in from from a parry and tapping it in. And I don't think we do. But Mowbray will make substitutions, but we seem to continually try and break teams down the same way repeatedly for the full 90 minutes. And there isn't enough variation. And somebody like Gallagher, the best thing you could do with him is put crosses into the box, and it's not something we ever really do. And we've got a very good crosser of the ball in our team, and we've got a very tall striker who's good in the air, who can win headers in the box. So it's something that we rarely do, and I'm not sure how much they even work on that type of pattern in training, but it's an option. It's an option for sure.
Yeah, I think Sam Gallagher is one which unfortunately is always going to divide the fans, and someone who has made an impact at times this season, and it's certainly reflected in all of the comments here. So I'll just run through a few of these before we go into our predicted side. So Mr. Jacks, he doesn't know his place in the team yet. Dizzy thumbs, will need Gallagher after Armour is sold. So yeah, whilst we've got this contractual situation with Armour hanging over, we might we might end up with Gallagher as one of our main strikers. That might be something we have to get used to. Michael Pearson, if Armstrong starts, does that mean he's definitely staying? I don't think so necessarily, Michael. We can't rule out something happening on deadline day, a really big bid if someone's panicking. Callum Robinson, he needs confidence, I think. Look at Rudy before and after he came into Rovers, couldn't hit a barn door. Libya man, Gally was a great outlet on the right when he came on against Borough. Borough is more of an impact than a starter for me currently. Parky 1981 can be good some days as a sub, but most he looks like a donkey. I think donkey's a bit harsh, Parky. He's not hitting the levels that possibly we want to see. Andy Watson, he's a good squad player. If he hadn't come in for 5 million and wasn't one of the best paid players in the squad, he's a good player to have. Agree, I do think that price tag hangs over him. 𝐿𝐿_Scotty, good player to have is Gally. Don't think I would start him today, though. And then I'll just run further down. Autumn Penkridge, agree with Alex, unfortunately. And Andy Watson, he was a poor transfer. So again, yeah, some backing up of, the 5 million price tag and that hanging over. Gaz Israel's just asked a question here. Apart from left back and centre back, is there another position you guys would like to see us improve over the next few days before the window closes? Possibly a target man for a plan B. So again, just really quickly, just position wise, Ollie, any position you want to see strengthened?
Yeah, maybe another like a true central striker as an option, but that's a costly area to improve upon. But it would be nice to have if we could. But I think we're pretty well covered. Yeah, aside from the positions he mentions, it'd probably be there. We're pretty well covered in midfield, I think.
Alex, any position for you that you want to strengthen?
I'd never really given that question much thought because I never really thought we would be recruiting in any other areas than the ones that were outlined as the two that might come in. I tend to agree with Ollie. If we could get a third one, which won't happen, I mean, we're talking about semantics here that won't occur, but if it did occur, yeah, probably a central striker. But are we going to get a central striker in on loan that for dirt cheap money from the Premiership that can make a difference for the rest of this season? I doubt it. I really do doubt that. So I would say probably wait until the summer for that. And if we see any outgoings in the summer, then we might be able to finance a move in that position again.
Luke, any position for you?
You've got to agree with Andy Watson, really, saying that the Gallagher signing wasn't a great one. I think if we did sign him to be the central striker to hold up play, then perhaps that was a bit of a boob on our part. If we can maybe get a young Premier League striker on loan, and we can get someone perhaps that can hold the ball up, maybe do that job, but it's an experienced player that does that. It's a Danny Graham, someone like that. So I think it's very difficult to put the onus on a young player. It'd be great if there was one out there, but I just can't see it really.
So good question, that Gaz. Just another plug. Join us on Monday for the deadline day special, and we'll see who we do end up bringing in, whether it is Harry Pickering, whether it is another position that Mowbray has got up his sleeve. So hopefully all of you can join us then. Couple of minutes until the team news breaks, so we'll just bring up our predicted 11, which, as I said earlier, this is unprecedented times because the four of us have agreed on our preferred 11 today. So 𝐂𝐓 in goal, Branthwaite, Lenihan centre-backs, Nyambe and Douglas the full-backs, Travis and Davenport again. We're making a case for Davenport with Rothwell in the midfield area as well, and then bringing Ben Brereton back into the side with Armstrong and Elliott there as well. So Luke, I'll just come to you really quickly. Anyone you want to focus on in that side just whilst we wait for the actual team news to land?
I'll quickly just talk about Adam Armstrong, because there has been talk today in the comments I've seen that perhaps he should be dropped on recent form. He hasn't been scoring goals. I want to keep him in there. I want him to get a goal, because if he does get a goal, I think that he'll score a lot more. I think he'll be a lot better now that Brereton's running the left channel and he doesn't get dragged out, and hopefully can stay more centrally and perhaps get that opportunity to get some strikes in on goal. If we keep him beyond Monday, I think we'll see Adam Armstrong scoring goals again in blue and white halves. I think a lot of the problem perhaps is he's scored a lot of goals now. He's attracted a lot of attention, and with big teams sniffing around, he's growing ever frustrated when he's not scoring goals. So hopefully we see past Monday. Maybe Adam Armstrong gets a goal today as well, and let's see some form back in our number 7.
Definitely. And Alex, before the actual team news lands very shortly, really interesting soundbite that Jacob put out earlier from Lancs Live. So barring any unforeseen injury issues, this afternoon will be the first time this season that Mowbray can name the same back 5, goalkeeper included, for a 3rd consecutive league fixture. We've spoken about the importance of having a settled defence, particularly for sides that are chasing playoffs and promotion. How important is that for you, that we can just pick a defence now that essentially picks itself?
It's really important. I mean, any side that wins promotion that you look at, whether it be, historically or even Rovers themselves from League One, it was built on a solid defence, a consistent selection of really the whole 11, but mainly the back 5. Now, this is no different. I think a lot of the circumstances this season have been enforced from Mowbray's point of view. So you can't blame Mowbray for that. I do think there has been occasional chopping and changing when we could maybe have done without it. But I do think that by and large, most of the chopping and change has been enforced due to injury. And you cannot turn around and say that hasn't had an impact on either the communication in the back 4 or just the goals against column.
Yeah, and the team news has now landed. So, Ollie, I'm going to come to you for the first reaction. I think Dan was just running it as a ticker at the bottom there, and it's gone. But the team is 𝐂𝐓, Nyambe, Lenihan, Branthwaite, Douglas, Travis, Stuart Downing, and Joe Rothwell, and then Elliott, Brereton, and Armstrong. So it's Downing instead of Davenport today. Davenport not on the bench either. So, Ollie, initial reaction to that side?
Relatively pleased. Hopefully it's Davenport's picked up an issue in training, or might be a COVID issue. I'm not sure if anyone's up to speed on what the issue is. I'd sincerely hope it's a genuine reason and not that he's been left out of the squad. Because I think for me, he'd be one of the first people I'd be putting in the team today, given what he can bring to the team. No, I'm happy. I think if there'd been any other back five, it would have been quite a shock. So, and it's very pleased that Brereton's back in, and it's sort of what we've all been saying is it's going back to the system that I think has worked the best this season. Downing's in there. Downing's a fantastic player. There's no issue with him being in there. I think he's in there clearly out of necessity, given if Davenport's not available, Johnson isn't available. Could have considered Tribal maybe, but no, happy with the team. I think it's the right way to go. And it gives us some really good options to change things if it's not going to plan.
Absolutely. And just to run through the subs, because there are a couple of interesting names on the bench as well. So the subs are pairs. Maguire is on the bench, and also Elliot Bennett is on the bench, with Corey Evans as well. John Buckley, Lewis Holtby, Dak, Dolan, and Gallagher. So, Luke, that subs bench is really interesting, isn't it? What's your reaction to that?
Yeah, it is interesting actually. Just to note, 𝐏𝐃𝐃𝐃 put that Davenport is injured. So I don't know, obviously, the extent of that injury, but he's injured. So I mean, the bench is great. We've got Dak and Dolan on there, Lewis Holtby back, Buckley, some creative players. It's good to have a defender on the bench, given recent weeks we have been lacking. He's had his critics, but Elliot Bennett is a Blackburn Rovers man through and through now, and there's nothing better than seeing him back on the bench and back in the squad. Be a huge boost for the players. He's a very important person in the dressing room, so I'm really, really glad to have Elliot Bennett back in there as well. And then we've got potentially our only option of a plan B if we do start going aerially, someone to win them aerial duels like we've seen on the stats in Gallagher. So fantastic, to see the bench. It's looking like the strength in depth that we've spoke about is now starting to come to the forefront. Really, we've got players back fit. We've got a squad now to choose from, and we've got a very capable player in Stuart Downing coming in for Davenport today, which reflects very much all four of us in what we were saying with the team lineups as well. So. We can't grumble at that today. That's looking like a very strong squad, a very strong 11, and Mowbray's clearly wanting to stick with a 4-3-3, try and play football on that pitch today, and hopefully we can do that and get an early goal.
Yeah, I'll just get some of the reaction from the viewers. Let us know what you think of Mowbray's side today. So Alexander Haben, happy to see Downing start. Callum Robinson, love that from Tony. Stewie has a lot to offer and can dictate the game. FM works. I would love to see a 4-4-2 with Elliot and Dolan on the flanks. Still not happening, FM. You'll have to get on the phone to Tony to get that formation change. Davenport must be injured. Yeah, we've had that confirmed now, of course. But Downing brings class and composure, which will be vital today, says Leap Year Man. Alexander Haben, experience will be useful today. Michael Pearson, almost the preferred team. Downing to dictate. Michael Pearson, Corey with a frustrated emoji. We'll see what Corey Evans may or may not do from the bench. Warren Selby, I'm guessing Davenport is the person who was injured, what Mowbray was going on about. Yeah, probably was. Simon Child, can see Holtby on for Downing later in the game, depending on the score. Ross Gibson, gutted for Davenport, was starting to come good. Yeah, absolutely, Ross. I think he was possibly on the way there to really cementing his place in that midfield area. So that is a big shame to him. Then what else we got here? Autumn Penkridge, strong lineup / bench. No excuses today, though. And then FM works backing that up. No excuses for Mowbray today. So, Alex, I'm going to come back to you because it's kind of a follow-on to the question I asked you just before the team news broke. We really struggled earlier on in the season with some of these injuries when it was kind of putting square pegs into round holes and things like that. But even today, you know, with Bradley Dack on the bench, with the likes of Elliot Bennett and Corey Evans coming back onto the bench, having that settled defence, that five who we've been able to pick again, we've been able to have the strong options in front of those. And even with someone like Davenport dropping out, it still looks a strong side, doesn't it?
It does look a very strong side. I mean, we can talk about Davenport dropping out, but he's barely got a game in the last 2 years. And so he hasn't really been considered as in the first team. It's only really a very recent theory that he should be in the starting 11 every week. So it certainly is a very strong side. I think it's pretty similar to the side I would have picked if I knew the extent of the injuries and that kind of thing and a bit more of the background. I'd have picked a very similar side to that. So yeah, we can't complain about it. I think what I want to see is a bit of bravery on the ball. I think it's going to be really difficult with the pitch, worrying about the ball bobbling around. What it requires is bravery. And do the players have the bravery to pass the ball around at pace, which is necessary to stretch a defence like that? That is what this game will come down to. And if it doesn't come down to that, are we capable of whipping in a corner of quality and getting someone's head on the end of it for the first time this season? You know, these are the things that will decide this game today. And, you know, combined with that, not making any stupid mistakes at the back, because you can guarantee that if we do concede, it won't be due to us being carved up and it'll be due to a silly mistake. So it's about limiting those mistakes, which should hopefully happen by itself with picking that more consistent back line. And like we say, a bit more bravery on the ball in the forward areas is what I'm looking for today. And like Luke said, a bit more from Armstrong in the sense of, I feel at the minute that he's so desperate to score. I feel like he's trying so hard to score goals that he's snatching at things which he wasn't snatching at earlier on in the season. And it's not through a lack of trying or a lack of ability or a lack of effort. It's just purely a bit of frustration, I think. And so we just need to get Armstrong back in the mood again, back scoring goals every week. And if we do that, we'll certainly have a great chance of winning the game today.
Absolutely. Leap year man, I'll just read out the bench for you again because you missed it. So Pears, Maguire, Elliot Bennett, Corey Evans, Buckley, Holtby, Dack, Dolan and Gallagher is the bench. And Michael Pearson backing you up, Alex, with bravery is the word. So Ollie, just to come back round to you before we start to close off the stream, is there anything else in this side that, you know, with the names that are there now, particularly Stuart Downing coming back in, some of the stuff we've spoken about on the stream today, you know, is there anything else that you're looking at in that side that, you know, that we might hurt Luton in a different way to what you're expecting?
No, I think that I know people have picked up on Alex's comment about bravery, and it's, you know, I think people sometimes overlook how good Lewis Travis is on the ball. Stuart Downing is, you know, has made a very long and successful career out of his quality on the ball. Joe Rothwell is a very, very comfortable receiving the ball and can beat any player if he chooses to. That it's, we've just got to, we've not quite been the side we've seen at our best this season. And like, put the pitch to one side, you've got three midfield players who are very, very good on the ball and are very comfortable on the ball. And Alex is absolutely right. There can't be an excuse today for us to be sort of huffing and puffing and not getting anywhere in the final third of the pitch. We've got a really, really high quality side there, that starting 11, and we just need to see, they just need to start playing again. And if Downing and Rothwell can't get the ball off the defence and start linking in with Brereton and Elliot and finding little pockets of space, then that's what we need to see, and it's what we've seen before. And the pitch can't be an excuse. I know it's not going to help, but you know, you can still play on it, and whether it's even as simple as Lenihan hits Brereton on diagonals and you're getting Rothwell and Armstrong kind of in and around him. We can't have a game where we let Luton kind of disrupt what we're trying to do and kind of fall into those patterns of disruptive play. And we've just got to assert ourselves and get back to what we've been doing earlier in the season. And that's And that's what you just want to see, the quality in that side. Just even if we perform par for what those players can do, I think we'll be fine today. I really do.
Yeah, definitely. Just to give everyone the Luton side, if you've not seen it, so Sluga in goal, Potts, Bradley, Pearson, Cornick, Lockyer, Glenn Ray, Pellywood Kampanzu, Clark, James Collins, and Dewsbury Hall, who was picked out as the player to watch out for by Lewis, the Luton fan, yesterday. So Rovers fans, we will be ending the stream very shortly. So please let us know your score predictions in the comments, and we will rattle through those before we finish. Luke, I'm just going to ask you a quick question because it has been picked up by Abby in the comments, and you are on the transfer special on Monday as well. So no Amari Bell on the bench today, and there's this big talk about Harry Pickering as well. So is Bell on the way out? I'll ask you that in a moment. Abby, if you did miss the team news, yeah, sadly, Davenport is injured, I'm afraid, so he's missed the side. So, yeah, Luke, Amari Bell, could we have seen the last of him? You know, could we shift Bell out to make way for Pickering?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really unfortunate one for Amari Bell. We brought him in with high hopes on the back of him being in the League One team of the season, having a great season for Fleetwood, really looked the part. It just hasn't worked out for him. I don't think he's a bad player. I think he's got certain attributes. As a left back, he's sort of a jack of all trades, but never really showed that he's a master of any. He's got a mistake in him, and I think really Douglas is starting to make left back his own now. Last couple of games, he's looked the part, and we've made no secret of the desire for Harry Pickering. So I think we will push for Pickering to come in, and rather than perhaps renew the contract of Bell and spend money there, ship Bell out at the end of the season and concentrate then on a long-term replacement in Harry Pickering. That is my hope, and that's certainly the hope of us guys on Monday. So we will be sat here excited and certainly watch that and see any news coming in. But I think that's where we're all sitting at the moment, and especially given the fact he's not in the squad today, it speaks volumes.
Yeah, a shame to see, as you say, came in with high hopes and a good reputation, and just not worked out for him. So, we wish him well if he does end up going, but we don't know that yet. So we'll see. So Alex, you are going to be the first to do the score prediction on the panel today. So what do you think?
No pressure. God, I'm usually the last one, aren't I? Just to tone it down a little bit. I've got to predict a win today after last week. After getting it wrong last week, I have to do a cover shot. So I'll predict a win, even though it's been, I think, 40 years since we've beaten Luton in the league, which is a pretty remarkable stat. I'll go with a 2-0 win today. And we might actually score in the first half as well.
Excellent. So there you go, Rovers fans. Alex, that is a pretty good, positive prediction there. I love it. Just to help Dan with the comments management as everyone's coming in thick and fast, I'll get some of the viewers' predictions before coming to you, Ollie. So I think Callum Robinson was first at 2:12 p.m, Dan. He's gone for a 0-0. Peter Wright has gone 2-0 Blackburn. Stand and Stare, Rovers 3-1. Hopefully, yeah, it always comes with a hopefully as far as Rovers are concerned. Stand and Stare. Tim Young, 2-0 Rovers. 𝐿𝐿 Scotty, 2-1 Rovers. Dizzy Thumbs, 3-0 Blackburn. Michael Pearson, Hart, comfortable 3-0. Head, 1-0 Rovers. Scott Taylor, 2-0 Rovers. 1NUC, 4-0 Rovers, about time. Kevin Bradshaw, 3-1 Rovers. Dak to score late on. Abi Sahar, Pickering. Yeah, there's a little hashtag we're doing, aren't we, Luke? So it's Picker and then in capital letters. You might see that one on Monday, but 3-0 for Abi Sahar. Autumn Penkridge sticking with 2-0. Ethan James, 3-2. Oh, these are whizzing down. Ethan James, 3-2 Rovers. Scott Taylor, 2-0 Downing and Armour. Parkey, 1981, 3-0 Rovers. I might as well get down these. Alexander Haben, 2-0 Rovers. Sean Hooper, 2-0 Rovers. Alexander Haben, 2-0 Rovers. Leap Year Man, 2-1 Rovers. Ricken, 8-0 to us. Ross Gibson, 1-0 Rovers. So that was a mammoth run through there. So lots of positivity in the comments. So Ollie, are you going to back up the positivity not only in the viewers, but also following Alex Lomax there? What is your score prediction?
I know everyone's been talking about the 40-year league record, but I was at the FA Cup game where we beat Luton 4-0. I thought it's too bold. I'm very confident we're going to win today, and I thought 4-0 is a little bit bold, but I think we'll win 3-0 today. I think 4 times of trying against Luton, and I know I get quite annoyed about us playing them, but I think it's due. It's due. I think there's too much quality in our side for it not to click for another game. I think Armstrong will get in the goals again, but I think 3-0. Confident.
Excellent. That's a nice one. So if you're at 3-0, God knows where Luke Kimberley's going to be at. So what's your prediction, Luke?
Don't get me excited. I mean, there's some confusion here from Ollie. I think that last night in the on the other side, I ran the commentary of what it would sound like if 𝐂𝐿𝐄𝐃 did score, and I think the wind catches it or it bounces. Whoa, 𝐂𝐿𝐄𝐃, unbelievable! But no, I certainly don't think he will score today. I'm not that optimistic. I think 3-0. I've got to echo what Ollie's saying. On the back of a solid performance, albeit slightly shaky in places from Branthwaite, just given the injury. I think he was, on the whole, very solid. I think Lenihan had possibly his best game of the season. Actually, having that consistency now for a few games is key now to moving forward. I really don't think we'll concede today. I think we'll look solid. And hopefully get the goals that we need to do early doors and just go on and win it comfortably. We should do, and that's not underestimating Luton as a side. I just think that now's the time that we need to kick on. We're unbeaten in the last 3. We've only lost 1 in 6, so I don't think it's as bad as might have been made out in the past. I think now there's a real platform to kick on.
Absolutely. I went 2-1 yesterday on the other side, but I've slept on it a little bit, and I like the look of the side today, and I'm feeling a bit more confident. So I'm going to say 2-0 rather than 2-1. I think it'll just be one of those job done type games. We might not get the early goal. It might have to be patient, but 2-0. I'm feeling pretty confident today. And just to round off the viewers' predictions, then we had Libby, who has predicted 7-2. Ollie James sticking with me prediction. 𝐂𝐿𝐄𝐃 assist for Armour 1-0. Michael Pearson, absolutely. These are the most positive predictions of the season. Alexander Haben, Armstrong and Elliott, I reckon, but really hoping Brereton gets 1-2 for 3-0. Libya man, we are definitely due a win against Luton. Absolutely. Callum Robinson, I'd hate to be Luton today. And Abi Sahar, hey, 𝐂𝐿𝐄𝐃 could take the pen like that League 2 goalie. Forgot who that was. Yeah, that was, I don't think it was for Cheltenham. I think it was at Cheltenham's ground, though. There was someone who scored from a goal kick, didn't they? And then Daniel Davis Golf. We will wrap up the stream with your prediction of 1-1. You're on your own with that one, I think, Daniel Davies. So that could be a masterstroke, or you could have just marginalised yourself. We will see. So that's it, guys. We will finish it there. Alex, Luke, and Ollie, thanks for joining me this afternoon. Alex, you're back for post-match later, aren't you?
I am, for an extra dose of live streams, and I think we hopefully will be celebrating a win. But yeah, I could be wrong again, and we could get beat. But yeah, in my record, it doesn't bode well that I've actually predicted a win. But yeah, look forward to being back on later, and let's hope for a good game today.
That's it. Luke, thanks for joining us again.
Pleasure as always. And if everyone can join us on Monday as well, that'd be great for the transfer show. So I look forward to that as well. But fingers crossed for a big game today from the boys.
Absolutely. And Ollie, thanks for joining us again, mate. When's the next 1875 pod? Have you got one in the pipeline?
I think there's one. Alex will correct me. I think there's one coming up this week, possibly the week coming into next week. There should be one. Probably post transfer.
Excellent. So watch out for that one. Rovers fans, Alex and Ollie do a great job of that 1875 pod with Tom Schofield. So yeah, later on it'll be me, Alex, Glenn, and Joe Harvey will be back as well for the post-match live stream about 5:15. So do join us later on where we hopefully dissect a good Rovers victory. Let's get the job done and turn that Middlesbrough result into a positive run and start looking forwards. If you're not following us on Twitter, we are rovers_chat on Twitter. Please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already and you've liked what you've seen today. We're near 1,000 subscribers now on YouTube, so we are grateful for everyone's support. And as I said before, we love seeing the regular faces and absolutely love it when we get new faces and names joining us in the comments as well. So really good to interact with you on Saturdays before and after the games. So yeah, as Luke says, transfer special on Monday. That'll be about 8 to 8:30 p.m. start. So join us there for a nice long show through to the deadline day end. But before that, we've got the game to enjoy, of course. We'll see you a bit later on, and we will leave you with the sponsor message from 6yardsout.com. See you later, guys.
The Rovers Chat YouTube channel is proudly sponsored by 6yardsout.com. They've got retro football from every era with mugs, phone cases and much more. They also have plenty of Rovers goods, including apparel with the famous 94-95 season and this season's kit. Check them out using the link in the description below.